So, just making sure. No, they're good. Sam, you okay? Danny, ready to begin? Then, okay. Two auras, as I said, before we go back into the Sugya of Agasa. One aura is a very old aura. Very old aura. I've been waiting to say it. It's always on my paper, and I always forget to say it. So today's Mitzvah Shem, the last year I'm Bishul, and there's a few things that never spoke of. One is that I saw that there's a certain sefer that has he brings down the chuvas of the Igros Moshe. Brings down lots of the chuvas. Chelik Daled Ayin Daled. Some of those chuvas, other chuvas, specifically on Bishul, and he goes through a lot of the Moshe chuvas, and he goes on to find difficulties in a lot of the chuvas of Moshe. Most of what he asked, I saw before Shabbos. I saw everything that he asked. We explained, and there's no kashas on Rav Moshe, but there's one aura. It's not really a kasha on Rav Moshe, but he says he goes on the famous Rav Moshe by the bones. And he basically is metama. And how can it be? He explains to Rav Shlomo Zalman that if a person, basically Rav Shlomo Zalman seems to say that if a person has the bones and the cholent, and he doesn't plan on eating them, If he plans on eating them, he says then it's mamish food and whatever. But if he doesn't plan on eating them, Rav Shlomo Zalman says it depends. If it's vadai that they're not cooked yet, and you're in a place that people eat them, like in Yerushalayim, that people eat the bones, and you're in such a place that people eat the bones. So he says, people eat the bones, as Shlomo Zalman says, and it's vadai that they're not cooked yet, so then that's food. That's what Shlomo Zalman says. Mashenkin says Shlomo Zalman, if it's safek, maybe that they're already cooked. I guess Shlomo Zalman means anyways, maybe it's Michael ben Yisai, and it's a safek in the first place, and it's maybe you can call it Kain Psi Greish Leinichle, whatever. So Shlomo Zalman says that then you don't have to be machmer. And that's basically what Shlomo Zalman says. If you know the vada not cooked and you're in Yerushalayim or a place where they eat the bones, then you have to be machmer. If you know the vada not cooked. It says Mashenkin, if you know that it's a suffix if they're cooked. So he said, then it depends if you want it or not. If you want it, then it's called oichel. If you don't want it, then it's a suffix, there's a makom mekel. And he goes over there, he goes with that Svar, the Sefer, and he writes that he doesn't understand how much you can argue on that. If you're in the Yerushalayim, so then it's a bone is an oichel. A bone is an oichel, and that's what he asks. It's interesting. I was just thinking, it's not the biggest kasha. We spoke back then. It's not such a kasha, but I was just thinking, Stam, we once mentioned here at the end of last month, we spoke about the Maggid Mishnah, very famous Maggid Mishnah. And I thought that the Maggid Mishnah would be very applicable over here. Maggid Mishnah told us that there are sometimes, especially in Hilchos Shabbos, this is the case that the Maggid Mishnah is talking about. He's talking about when you take a toothpick, like the Gemara talks about in Be'ah, and you take a toothpick, and you crack it. I'll call it a toothpick, but it means a twig or something, and you crack it. So that depends on your kavanah. If you take a toothpick and you crack it, and your kavanah is to have two toothpicks now, to have a sharp toothpick, that's why you cracked it. It's a derisive and makabeh patish. Mashenkin, it's basically a gemara. Mashenkin, if you just stop cracking it without thinking about it, so then you just crack the twig and you didn't do anything on Shabbos, assuming it's on Muktzah or something. The same thing, you're just fiddling with your fingers and playing with a toothpick, and you're just like, I'd be scared to do this with a toothpick. I'll be the first to admit, because a lot of us, we crack the toothpick, and we know, we might wind up using it, and but let's say you're just playing with it and you crack the twig. Do you have to do the toothpick? Do you have to do tshuva? So the answer is, if you didn't have intention to use it for a toothpick, so then it's not an isser b'chal. It's not an isser b'chal. I knew that, and this is the Maggid Mishnah you say, that sometimes you can have a malacha, which is kol based on the kavanah. And without your kavanah, it's not a malacha b'chal. I was thinking it's very applicable over here, this concept of the bones. A bone is mamish this. A bone for somebody that doesn't eat bones. We'll all admit that there's Gemaras in Chulin that talk about that a bone is not even considered a vela, and a bone, it definitely doesn't have a tumas oichel. It's not a pella. No one can say, even Rich Lamizalman can't say that the stamusa of a bone is to call a bone food. So a comment that you want to eat bone, then we could talk. I'm not getting involved now. If you're the one that actually eats the bones and whatever, and you dafka are putting it back on Friday night, and it's not yet fully cooked, and you plan on eating it in fakir, when you're putting it back on, you know that you're going to have these nice, soft, cooked, yummy bones for you and Fido and all the other people that eat bones. So then, hey, but forgetting that, I'm saying, let's say you are somebody that doesn't eat bones, which is a large percentage of the tzibur. If you don't eat bones, then you have mamish the Maggid Mishnah, a bone that you're not planning on cooking. Right? It's very magid Mishnah, and I would assume that that's probably Talmud in the Aymek Kavanah for Moshe also. That even if you're in a place that they eat the bones, but that's all, again, the same idea. I'll prove it to you. When people take twigs and they break them in half, people make twigs into toothpicks. A lot of people do that. Anybody who makes a toothpick is doing that. And Alpha Pekin, there are some halachas that are not totally in what the Velt does and what the Velt does. It's over here, it remains a non-oichel. So I mean, we spoke b'shaita. It's just a new svara that I wanted to be myself to the oilam, which I think is a very mystic svara. That's number one. Okay, so we spoke b'shaita. Let's go with the soft bones that people mamash eat. Let's say I don't want to get involved in all the. They talk about these like cartilage bone, the ones with the fragnish. That's what they talk about. But what do you want? Go next to your Yerushalmi neighbors over here. You want to bring in? You want to kidnap a little Yerushalmi kid and ask him? Let's ask him. I don't know. Right? Ask him. But I'm saying until you do that, so then I just wanted to point out this. I don't understand what I'm being moisif on what we spoke about back then. I'm being moisif something over here. That the entire mitzias of a bone is going to be totally on your kavanah, because in order to make it into an oichel, you have to have kavanah. If you don't have kavanah for it, then such a thing doesn't turn into an oichel on its own. That's one very important svara. That's number one. Number two is at the end over here, I see, I want to just give me 2 minutes to start to share with this, and then we'll go back into Agasa, but I might as well get all these inyanim out of the way. Not Khalil out of the way, but I might as well start with these inyanim. I see that a lot of the poskim are discussing over here humidifiers at the end of the siman. It's not bad, it's really, there's not really a market for it. So a lot of them threw them over here, the Achainim. Rabbi Yitzchak, he put it over here. Also these inyanim of the humidifier. And we spoke b'shaito about a humidifier. Certainly, to add cold water into humidifier on Shabbos, that's an issa d'oraisa. You're taking water, putting it into humidifiers, right? Even if you take cooked water, you have a problem. What we're going to talk about of chazara and putting it on Shabbos because it's not a blech, whatever. So that it's not a negeya. If you have a child, he's a chayla or something like that. You have a child, he's a child, he's not well or something like that. I'm talking right now about a hot humidifier, Rabbi Katzman, we'll get there in a moment. But when it comes to a hot humidifier, so if you have a child, a baby that's a chayla and whatever, a person that has, I don't know if a humidifier works for corona, but with the lungs and this and that, and he's mamish chayla, so for shteitzach, you might be able to be over on chazara. Assuming he's not a pekuch nefesh. If he's pekuch nefesh, it's different story. But assuming he's not a pekuch nefesh, so you might be able to over on chazara, which is only in Issa D'Rabbanan. You might be able to take water from an urn and put it inside a humidifier, and it's going to turn it into gas. Assuming that taking water that we take on, that taking water and turning it into a gas is not an isser. It's already fully cooked. It doesn't make a difference to us. I guess the nafkamina will be that according to the Ashkenazim, you'd even be able to take water which is warm and put it into a humidifier. Again, there's an isser of chazara. And you can't do this unless somebody's a chayla or something of that nature, but I'm just giving a musik. But cold humidifiers, which it's not, there's no real makam to talk about a cold humidifier. And a cold humidifier is something that, I don't know, any isser. What could be the isser of putting cold water into a humidifier? What? Come again? There's an issue with turning into steam. But we spoke about that's a davar kasha. It's very, very shver. To take the cold water and put it into a cold water humidifier is, I don't see any yeser. I don't see any chazar. I don't see anything. I was thinking maybe it's like a shtickle karam or something because you're causing the machine to not go off or something. I don't know. What are you doing? What's it doing? So I don't know what the yeser is. The machine is working sci The machine just works either way. You're not doing anything. I can't even think of anything that you're doing. What? No, there's no noilid. It's water. There's exer shava, water. You didn't do, there's no noilid. What? There's no noilid from going from water. There's a noilid from water to a solid to a liquid. There's no noilid from going from water to moisture. It's all one big water, right? Plus? Oh, so the only thing I can think of is that you're causing it not to break. What's the answer to cause something not to break? And I'm not familiar with an answer. Oh, Elamai. So now that's the only reason why I'm bringing it now. Thank you, Rabbi Blinder. That over here, aren't you supposed to be in bidud? What's he doing? What? You okay? All right, just keep your mask on. Akapanim. But the only thing is like Rabbi Blinder saying, right, from over there in the quarantine section. That at the end of the siman over here, it talks about this mulyar. What's this mulyar? No, listen, this mulyar is, what's this mulyar? This mulyar is they used to have some type of an urn that when you'd have the water in, it was like a primitive urn. It was like, the urn from the Flintstones. They had the water was in there, and it's a mattress somewhere. And the water was in there. And what would happen is the water at the end, if you ran out of water, I don't exactly know what this moulure looked like, but if you ran out of water at the end, basically the coals that were there, they must have had like a pocket. The Gemara in Shabbos talks about this in Daf Mem Aleph. It has describes what a moulure is. I don't know if it's the same one that they had, but if you would have this moulure, so then the coals on the side, when they would just be boiling hot, so coals meant that there's water there, the piece of metal there wouldn't get ruined. But Ganira, when you would empty it out from water, so then it would get ruined. That's the case. So the Bishul over here brings down from the Sefer Tosefes Yerushalayim. Yes, Tosefes Yerushalayim, an additional Yerushalayim. He says Ayin Sham that he brings from the Yerushalmi. It's interesting. It bothered me. Why does he have to bring it from a Yerushalmi? I'm sorry. Why does he have to bring from a Tosefes Yerushalayim? If it's a Yerushalmi, what happened over here? Why the other place don't bring it? So I actually looked up the Yerushalmi. And now I understand why. You go and try and figure out how the Tosefes Yerushalayim, how from there, Ayin Sham. But that's the Tosefes Yerushalayim that the Bishul brings. And again, there's no games. The Bishul brings this, the Tosefes Yerushalayim. And he brings down over here this moulure, She'ena Garif, Ain't Sheitz Men B'Shabbos. Why? The last words in Sivan Shin Yud Ches. Here there's mamish 36 here, the 2 times chai, the 36 nairs, the 36 mesachtas. Unbelievable. And the last words in the Sivan are Tosefes Yerushalayim. You're afraid that what's going to happen, the water is going to get when the water gets used up, so then what happens? You can't use this moulure. Basically, what's going to happen is that this is how I understand the Yerushalmis, the way that the Tosefes Yerushalayim learns the Yerushalmi. If you look inside, you'll see what I mean. That you're going to have to add water over there because it enables that the coals won't burn the metal. So you're going to have to add the water to make sure that the metal doesn't burn. That's what the idea is over here, right? So you might add water in order to make it that it doesn't burn. Okay, now, what's the problem, Rabbi Blinder, if I add water? What's the problem? The Torah says there's no problem that you're preventing something from breaking. The problem is if you add water to an urn, you're going to cook that water. So the issue over here is an issue, but Al Kapanim, when it comes to a humidifier, cold humidifier, I see no problem to take water and put it into a cold humidifier because you're not cooking the water, you're not doing anything to the water. So it's mutter. So I was thinking, does this apply to our urns? So I looked around, I figured I'm not the first person that ever talks in Baruch Hashem. I see Rabbi Yitzchak brings down Achrayim that they talk about this. And they say, Ramosha says, it doesn't apply to our urns. That's Ramosha. Did I write down where Ramosha was? Or the other knows anyways. Ramosha says, you'll trust me, no? Ramosha says, it doesn't apply to our urns. Right? One of those little short shuvah, right? So Ramosha says, it doesn't apply to our urns. What does he mean? Why not? Chafalef. Ramosha says, it doesn't apply to our urns, right? And I saw today in that sefer, it's a whole sefer on all the kachas you can have in Rabbi Feinstein. Right? But you see, he's just like nitpicking and he's just being busy trying to find trouble with Rabbi Moshe. He's a troublemaker. But over there, you look inside, he says, Rabbi Moshe just makes no sense. Why doesn't it apply to our urns? He says, I read the water, if we go to the bottom of the urn, anytime you have fire, you have the actual heating element inside the urn. So then if the water goes all the way to the bottom, the urn is going to burn out. It's true, right? Everybody said, go to the urn over there, take out the water all the way at the bottom, and it's still on. It's going to burn it. It's going to short it. It's adrabah. It could be mamish as a kana for the whole house, right? It could mamish. So what's Rabbi Moshe talking about? Right? So this, of course, is not a kasha, because the way the actual urns are set up is you have like this, right? You have, let's say this. She's the urn. Everyone can see me, right? She has the urn. She's the urn, and you have like the water level never goes all the way to the bottom. The only way you can get all the way to the bottom is if you do something totally irresponsible and illegal, and you take the actual urn and start going like this to get out that last drop of water, which means that in its mahus, it can never burn out. The only time that the Tosefes Yerushalayim is saying that there's a problem is when you, without doing anything, just having the water there, can have it burn out on Shabbos. So for Shteitzach on Shabbos, you have to go and save the day, and you're going to go and put water in there. But here, it can never, ever happen that your urn can get ruined unless you are not even a shlamil and not a shlamazel, a shmendrik. The only way is if you actually pick her up, right, and torture her and murder the urn. That's the only way to do it, right? So therefore, that's what Moshe is saying. That's what Moshe said. And therefore your urns are mutter on Shabbos to use your urns. But I was thinking an interesting thing. And I just asked Rabbi Yitzchak, He said, except we'll see. It could be Balabatish. There might be a reason why I'm wrong. But they have these new urns. They have these new kumkum loch. I say kumkum kettles. Little Chinese. But they have on the bottom, they have the heating element on the bottom. Not really heating element. It's really like the electric current goes through this base on the bottom or whatever it is. Wait. And they clips on. It clips on. Now, when it comes to Hilchos Muksa, they all talk about it and whatever. They could be inside Muksa. It would be a makkah to be meko because in Muksa there's halacha that when you have a kli, so then the food inside the kli becomes overwhelming, and that becomes the ikar of the kli, and therefore it's not Muksa b'chol. So you would be allowed on Shabbos to actually pick this thing up. It's like a movable urn basically, and you'd be allowed to pick it up and you'd be able to pour out of it and whatever. Does everybody know what I'm talking about? But they have the kettles that you clip on. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. In America, they have Micha. In Lakewood, they have this? No, they don't have it. Muncie, official has it, or he has a finger or something. No, Fiskus, Little Miss Fiskus, what do you say? They have it in Muncie. Muncie has it. So they all discuss it, like Muksa and whatever. I was thinking, you might have a whole new reason. And they all discuss it. It's not Muksa, or maybe it is Muksa. Whatever. I got to be done Muksa would be Mako on it. Mr. Shem will learn Muksa. It's about coming, Rabbi said, the mitzvah. But I would be Mako on it if he doesn't. But then I realized, wait a minute, Tosefes Yerushalayim, more Yerushalayim. Over there, how does it work? Now, I don't know if what I'm saying is factually correct, so you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. But my brain tells me that the water's in there and you could finish all the water. Now, what happens when you finish all the water? You have a heating element on the bottom. I don't know the Metzias. Does it go off? I just don't even know the Metzias, right? Manushach. Yeah? But when all the water is poured out, I'd be scared. It makes like a clicking noise though. Is she still working? I got another thing that scares me. You're the goyim of that clicking noise. No? You mean when the water's there, you don't hear the clicking noise. Interesting. He says it's always working and nothing changes as you empty out the water. And it won't get, okay. I'm saying, so theoretically, this could have been an issue where we would have the Tosefes Yerushalayim. Okay, it happens to be that they took care of the problem. I guess that was what they realized. They don't want it to break when you finish up the water. But I'm just showing you that l'chayra and the regular urns is not a problem. That's the second thing I wanted to say to the Oilam before we get to Agasa. The third thing I wanted to tell the Oilam is that the Maisa, I don't know, Victor, I don't know how he came just in time. I don't know how a Svardi is going to use these pumpy urns. I looked into it a little bit. I see Rabbi Tersh is in hiding today. Okay. I looked into it a little bit and I called up my friends. Rabbi Elbaz also. You guys better listen over here. I called up my friends in the Machaim, what's it called with the Shabbos guys? No, not those guys. I called the other guys today. What's called? What? Mishmeres, the Charedim. I called up Mishmeres HaShabbos and I asked the Mishmeres HaShabbos what's going on with these urns. Right? They explained it to me. Now, again, I take zero achrayus for these statements. I'm just explaining what I was told. Apparently, even in the pumpy urns, you know what I'm talking about, the ones that, they say USA on them and they're made in China. So that apparently, there's a tube. I don't know what they're talking about. I'm just telling you, this is the problem that couldn't exist. I don't think a Christ what I'm saying. And this is probably what they told Rabbi Tersh. They apparently, the tube that is the actual measuring stick, the actual pipe, that's where the water goes through. This is what I did not realize. The water goes through that pipe. Now, I don't know which one they're talking about. What they told me the regular ones, the pumps and whatever. I saw today, apparently this is the one they have in America too, because I saw Rabelski, Zeichet Tzadik Levracha, and Shulchan HaLevi discusses it also. And he seemed to totally concur with the Metzias that they told me today in Mishmeres HaShabbos. Okay, totally concur. Apparently it goes through a tube, it goes through a pipe. The water, when it comes out, now I tried the whole day to try and figure out on my pipe if it's true or not. I can't see how it works. I can't chap the Metzias that they're saying. I'm not saying what? It moves, but I can't see that it's emptying. It jumps. What? I thought that it was jumping because it's connected on. Okay, you know what? I have a Muna. This is what they tell me. They tell me jump. I ask them how high. That's me. Kallus. That's how I am. Akapanim. But this is what Belsky says, and this is what the Mishmer Hashem said, that this is the Metzias. So I'm just assuming this is the Metzias, and they seem to be talking about the urn that I have. I asked them, the urn that I have, that yes, I'll take a chayes for this. But anyways, apparently the water goes through that pipe. Rabbi Tersh, is that what they told you also? That the water goes through that pipe. This is the part I didn't realize when I was speaking to you. The water goes through the pipe of where the measuring stick is. Memela, the water, now again, apparently that pipe also, the actual water, that water in that pipe has never been cooked. The water has never been cooked. That's what they're telling me. And, okay, now the first water comes out, which is, let's say, a third of a cup. That's what they're saying over there. Belsky writes, half a cup, it doesn't matter, it's all the same. He just meant you got to get rid of the water in the pipe, okay? So now you get rid of the water in the pipe. Now what happens when you get that water in the pipe? The water in the pipe is now going to get cooked as she goes together with the water inside. I guess I don't know where they meet, and I don't know. She start dining. Is it a cliche? Did she come out first? I don't know any of that. I'm the first to admit this. It seems to be they're coming out together. I need to know you there. Okay, but let's assume it's usher. Let's say it's an irei klirishin or something like that, on water that was never cooked, which you definitely have to be chayshish for this. Okay, so now if you did the first cup, the first third, so then that water comes out. Now what got displaced in there? Previously cooked water. Now since she's going to be in a tube, a separate tube, not attached to the actual heating element on the bottom, so then she's going to start cooling down. She's always going to be warm. That's how they explained it to me, and that's how Belsky writes over there also. She's always going to be warm. Belsky's in Shulchan Alevi, on the section he has in Hilchos Bishul. It's always going to be warm, the water in that pipe. So now what happens? Now I take out a cup of water. So an Ashkenazi has nothing to worry about because that water was previously cooked. Okay, assuming it's previously cooked and all that raid that we spoke about. So now you have nothing to worry about. I don't know how a Sephardi Jew uses that urn on Shabbos. I don't know. I was afraid to say this, but you know what? Victor's in Bidud now for the next 2 weeks. Anyways, so what does he have to do except for take apart his urn, right? I don't know how he takes out water on Shabbos. When he's going to take out water on Shabbos, that water is lach shenitztanen. That is, even though it's warm, but according to the Sephardim, that's yesh bishul aga bishul b'davar. So there's a reason why Rabbi Elbaz just turned off his screen, because he ran out. Right? The water keeps moving in. No, it's not. Rabbi Spira, this is what they explained to me. It's not moving, it's not displacing, it's not. This is what they told me. So the first water was never cooked. Rabbi Tersh, is this correct? That now makes sense. Is exactly what you were saying. Correct? This is the same idea, basically, as you're saying. So I don't know. So Sephardi Jew on Shabbos, they told me a Sephardi would have to take out a third a cup and then fill. How does he take out that third? That third itself is getting cooked each time. That. You mean the. You mean that water is what comes out first? You know the exact spot where to stop the. What? They said, he's saying, they're all tiny to me, but he's like, no, that's what they're saying. They're saying that what comes out first is the water in the pipe, right? You're telling me, no way. You know what? I dare you. Wait. I dare you. Put your finger underneath and let's see. No, see. Put your finger where your mouth is. No, see. Go take your finger, put it under the urn. If you come back without a burn, I'm asking. Yeah. Rabbi Gerwitz, would you like to donate your finger for the oil? What? No, so they're trying to do the first third of a cup, right? Yeah, no, because then even if one hot drop comes in, it won't cook or something like that. This is all luxury because there's no question that part is hot also, right? What are you doing? You're trying to what are you doing? Akapanim, No, I don't know. But Victor, you have 2 weeks anyways. Take your finger, put it under and see. I don't understand, Rabbi Tersh. You understand what you're saying or you don't understand? I don't know. I don't understand. I'll try it. Lean it today, right? No, I'm not on my own finger. I mean, I'll try it. I'll put in a third of it. You guys are telling me, listen to what you're saying. You're telling me if you take a third of a cup of water, that third of a cup is going to be warm. You should be arrested. You're dangerous. A third of a cup. It's a third of a cup. Okay, so no problem. Do it. Yeah, I don't know. Another eye. use a child's finger. No, that's probably not to get that. Akapanim. So, Tachlis Rabbi say that's number 2. Number 3 is that what's Victor going to do now? I mean, for the next 2 weeks, he really has nothing he could do. But the question is, could Victor, in 2 weeks when he ends his quarantine, could he just knock on his Ashkenazi neighbor's door every time he wants a cup of hot tea? That's pretty normal. Every time he'll want a cup of hot tea. It's not a general shaila. Is Victor allowed to ask an Ashkenazi to go and be over on yesh bishul lach or bishul b'davar lach when it's a warm liquid, when it's warm and not hot? It's a general question. Now, we spoke about this when we learned Amir La'akum, and we spoke about Amir L'Yisrael. It's interesting. On this specific shaila, we spoke about the old shaila in general. Can I ask somebody who holds something is usher to do, what you hold is usher, are you allowed to ask somebody else to do? This one, the Tzitz of the Ezra Dafka has a whole tshuva about this. In Chelik Dalid, in Sivan Lamed Beis, in Oisiyat Ches. And over there, he basically comes out that this is a very aggressive halacha by the Svardim, Isser Deraisa. If you're in the club, right? So then you hold that this is an Isser Deraisa. Svardi club holds that this is one of they hold this is Isser Deraisa, to take a liquid that was warm and previously cooked and go and put it onto that's Mamish Deraisa. No games. As a B'zai, to go and say Ashkenazi, could you go, let's say our case, could you go, okay, so here you could don, because he's saying Sikresha. He's not telling him, go and do it. He's telling him, give me a cup of water. So he's not saying the words. And we learned that when it came to Amirul Akum, there's 2 aspects. There's the words, and then there's also the Hana. Okay, those are the 2 things. Klape Hana. So then you could say that there's no Hana at Kamadar Shitas that hold its mutaris, because he's not really a guy. We spoke about this back then. I'm not going to go into the whole thing now, but we spoke about that, and it has to do with what's called Maisa Shabbos. But kids, Legabe Maisa Shabbos, there it's telling you if there are Shitas that are Mekel. If there are Shitas that are Mekel, there's not going to be an Isser Hana. But the problem is the Isser Amira. So the Tzitz of the Ezra Yikardik says that there is an Isser Amira. There's an Isser Amira, which means I will not be able, let's say I have a chicken soup which is warm. And I want to tell this Friday, that Friday wants to tell the Ashkenazi, could you bring this? It's they get a lot of times yeshivas have Ashkenazim and Sfardim and in Chassidim sometimes. They have all different types. That's how it goes in yeshiva. So Mela, the Ashkenazi bacher, he tells the Sfardi bacher, do me a favor, open the bottle over here. And the Sfardi says, yeah, in the meantime, take the chicken soup, which is warm, and put it back on the, on the hot plate and whatever, and this now, right? So, let's say with an upside down pan and things like that, or whatever. Right. So the Tzitz Eliezer says Amir is Aser, because by the Svardim, the words, that's a word of Isser. Take this chicken soup and put it on fire is Aser. And they paskin it's Aser. It's not just a Chumrah. So therefore the words are words of Isser. There's a Mira. He can't say those words, just like he can't say, I'm driving tomorrow and I'm writing a letter tomorrow. Those are words of Isser. He can't say those words. But if the Ashkenazi does it on its own, he writes it first, that there won't be an Isser Anal. Not much like we spoke about back then. I was just thinking in our case, in Victor's case, it could be it's a little bit better in this case, because you're just telling him, give me a cup of water. You're telling him, give me a cup of water, and that's all psikresha. So I didn't say the words of Isser. You didn't say the words of Isser. Just like we said, that you're not asking a guy to open up the sink, the water in the sink, even though psikresha, it's going to answer. So this is a few hours, but one of the different by bones. The pashtus is definitely like Rav Moshe. That's just to make clear to everybody. The pashtus is definitely like Rav Moshe, that if you don't plan on eating the bones, then bevada it's mutter gomer, even if you're in a place where everybody eats the bones. I mean, that's definitely the pashtus. Moshe remains the king, always was, and always will be. That's number 1. Number 2 is the Gabi the Shaila of the Mulyar. Our modern day example of Mulyar was we tried at least to get the case of the kettle that's attached. And even that, it turns off on its own. So l'chayra, like Rav Moshe says, is pashit, ein shaila, because it's no way to come to the bottom and burn out like the case of the mulyar. The case of the cold humidifier, so then I don't see any yisr of putting water inside a cold humidifier. Hot obviously is usher, and the only way it would be mutter is b'makim chayla, like we discussed. And this last shaila is this shaila that we're discussing. Can I ask Mike? First of all, can you actually use these urns? You definitely have to take out a cup. This is something I must admit that I'm learning Hilchos Shabbos a very long time, and I never knew this. And this Friday night, there's going to be a change. I never knew this, that you have to take out a cup before, and I never knew this. I mean, I knew the nidain, but I always didn't realize it applies to our pumpy urns. And now I see it applies to the pumpy urns, and I'm makar turf to Rabbi Tersh, who told me this information. And what are the Svardim going to do? So the Svardim will be makel that they can ask their Ashkenazi, they can knock on the door of the Ashkenazi at all hours of the day and night and ask him to do it. But I would not be makel that he can ask an Ashkenazi to take chicken soup, which is warm, and put back onto a place where it'll get the Yatzel lettuce by. But if he did it, he can get Hanoah. Okay, is that crystal clear, Victor? Okay, Buzz? Old-fashioned urns also. They're the lever, the little, what's that thing called? The spigot. Spigot. The spigot is a little bit above. So those things are mutter gomer. Unless you decide to murder it, but then you should anyways, you're a dangerous person. What? Oh, you mean klape this issue? You mean the old dangerous urns that when you touch them even, yeah. The sock pop, what? No, he means, and then we don't have the issue. He's trying to say we don't have the issue of the thing. Yeah, that the issue of that the issue that it cooks the water inside the whatever. But the truth is, a I don't know. It seems to be that Nussi Nussi's going to try it, and I don't know. So Buzz? Yeah, what's in the tube? It also has a tube over there in Slonim. Slonim also had a tube. No, not. What? Why? But it's a separate tube, no? I don't know. You know if that tube gets out to that? I don't know. You can ask the same question on the tube. I also thought like you by the case of the pumpy urn. Why? I mean, I gotta look today and play with it, and I can't figure it out. You happen to be right. You are right. The next time you need to cook your socks and you're going to over there, right? Just touch it and see if you're right? Use a sock. But I don't know, your mom know what I'm talking about. He's saying that it gets boiling hot. No, the actual tube gets boiling hot? The little tube, yeah? Okay, let me see your sock. Yeah, okay. Okay, but oh my goodness, we didn't do anything today. All right, I gotta move. Now let's get that gossip. This is unbelievable, everybody. Let me get. Okay. Now, let's make a quick sikum. Yesterday we saw very quick. We have to start Shia. Rabbi said tomorrow, it's bringing in my Mekaymus and Shia. We're going weiter. Bez Hashem. There's no games. We're starting Shia tomorrow. Simulation and Gimel. Rishon Gimel is, if you didn't learn Shin Yud Ches, Rishon and Gimel is like the hardest simon in Shas. Okay? If you did learn Shin Yud Ches, it's a pleasure. It's a gewaldig enjoyment. Don't get nervous, right? But it's a big enjoyment to learn Rishon and Gimel when you learn Shin Yud Ches. It's a mamish gewaldig pleasure, right? Because most of the hard part of Rishon and Gimel is that the Mishabru assumes you know Hilchos Bishul. Grada, that was the hard part of Siman Shin Yud Ches, is that the Mishabru assumes you know Siman Rishon and Gimel. When you're in Shin Yud Ches, he kept on referring to all the Inyanim of Rishon and Gimel. So that's the Gishmak of here, Bez Hashem. But I'll put him tomorrow, we're ready, there's no games. You start tomorrow, Mekaymus, no games. And then we'll give on Shia. But let's finish up with Agas over here. This is yesterday we saw a few nakudas. Number one is we saw that, and that's a cloud that we started on day one in Hilchos Shabbos, in Hilchos Bishul, that when it comes to something that's not mevushal, called sarcha, it's not fully cooked, even if it's 70%, 80%, 90%, to go from 80% upward is an Isser Gomer, and we all did deraisa. And we had all the examples. You can't mix it on the fire, off the fire. You can't put a lid on the fire, off the fire. You can't take a spoon out on the fire, off the fire. You can't take out water from an urn that is going to cause the rest of the water in the urn to cook faster. These are all the examples when something is not fully cooked. And the example that was Nogayos yesterday was Hagasa, was stirring. That you're not allowed to stir something, certainly says the Shulchan Aruch over here in Sif Yud Ches, which is not fully cooked. And our shaila is that that's not very nice when it comes to things that are not fully cooked. That's a tougher pashit. You can't stir it when it's on the fire, when it's off the fire. That's pashit. That's no shaila. The shaila is, what about stirring foods, drinks, etc., that are fully cooked? What's the din of being megas of food that's fully cooked? So to make a quick sikkum, we saw yesterday that the Maggid Mishnah, the Ran, and the Rosh say there's no problem. What could be the problem? How could there be a problem of stirring a food that which is fully cooked? Once it's fully cooked, so it's fully cooked. How can you be over on Bishul once it's fully cooked? This is definitely the pashtus. That's the pashtus. Once something is fully cooked, you can't be over on Bishul. Rabbi say, if you could take the exact same pot and put it back on the fire, as long as you have the tnoyim of chazara, how's it shaykh that you shouldn't be allowed to stir it. It's already fully cooked. To take something and go upward to mitzvah mikviyafalai, we know is not a problem. And this is the pashtus of the Rishonim, and this is pashtus of the Beis Yosef. I was asked yesterday, who asked me, I'm not sure. Somebody asked me, what do Achinu b'nei Asfaredim hold? The Svardim Achim on this. If you look in Shulchan Aruch and you look in the Beit Yosef, so then you're not going to really be so impressed about this chumrah. But who asked me? Somebody over here asked me. Rabbi Gindi. So I looked around. The Kaf Chaim is machmir, and Rav Chaim Pelagi is machmir. The Chaim Pelagi and the Rabbi Alim is machmir. I'm sorry, in the Ben Ish Chai is machmir, and the Rabbi Alim. So I couldn't find the Ravaja. I wanted to see if, like, I also thought that he would probably just say La'achzer Ateres L'Yoshna. I didn't look hard, but I didn't yet see if you got to take a look today in the Yalkid Yosef, right? We'll take a look in the Yalkid Joe, Mr. Shem, when I come home, and over there you have to see. But that's where you have to look. Because I wanted to see also. I figured like if a good old Sfardi, a good old fashioned Sfardi, why would he be machmer on this? I mean, the Shulchan Aruch La'achzer Ateres L'Yoshna only talks about cholent hamin, which is not fully cooked, right? So then I decide if it's fully cooked, the chayr shouldn't be a problem. Did you hear anything, or you didn't hear anything? You're waiting for me. You're waiting for me. Okay, we'll get there. Mr. Shem. Balkapanim. So that's Adkan. Now comes again Rebbe, Mishnah Berurah, and the Mishnah Berurah over here at the end of the Siman over here, and he alludes to it in Sifit Ches also. Our Rebbe, the Mishnah Berurah, tells us from the Kol Boy. And the Kol Boy says that on Shabbos, you're not allowed to take a fully cooked cholent and to stir her al ha'esh. That's what the Kol Boy says. Says the Kol Boy, doesn't explain why, but he says, but if you do it, you're chayiv chatis. Quite aggressive. Says the Bir Allah, Mishnah Berurah, in the only place in the all 697, and now I know it's true because nobody called me back with hate mail and said to me, yo, I found like 3 other gematrias of, and the Mishnah Berurah, and the whole entire Sefer Mishnah Berurah, 697 simanim, never ever says the words V'loi Eidatam except for here. This is monumentous. This is a historical moment. The only thing that the Mishnah Berurah did not know in the whole Sefer Mishnah Berurah is what in the world is the pshat in the Kol Boy. But what could you do? The Kol Boy is the Kol Boy, and the Mishnah Berurah does seem to be aggressively machmir, like the Kol Boy is afraid of the Kol Boy. He's afraid of the Kol Boy. But the Mishnah Berurah, he says a few rules. Rule number 1, the Mishnah Berurah says you're not allowed to stir a cholent when it's on the fire. That's rule number 1. That's all you clap in the fire. Then the Mishnah Berurah tells us what about scooping out with a spoon. We'll see more about this in a moment. I'm just making a recap of yesterday. The Mishnah Berurah in Charatzian, in Kuf Lamadayin, and the Mishnah Berurah in Sivan Kuf Yadayim, the Mishnah Berurah in Sivan Kuf Yadal. It says that if the cholent is fully cooked on the fire, don't take it out with a spoon. Don't take it out with a spoon. If the cholent is off the fire, we'll see what it means off the fire, but let's make an easy case. It's off the fire. Mamish. Mishnah Berurah says that to do a gasa, you're allowed to be machmer. I'm explaining it the way the Moshe said. You're allowed to be machmer to not be megas. If you want to be a machmer, you're not a balgaiva. If you're not going to mix your cholent, you're going to probably have a burnt cholent. You're not going to be a balgaiva, but you're going to be hungry enough. Right? But Mashain came, klape taking it out with a spoon, says the Mishnah Berurah, says the Aruch HaShulchan also, that don't even be machmer. Don't be some frumak and take your cholent and just pour it out. You're not going to be machmir on spoon removal from a cholent, which is off the fire, when the whole entire isser of spoon removal, says the Mishnah Berurah in Charatzi and Kuf Lametayim, it's an isser d'Rabbanan. What's the isser d'Rabbanan? The Mishnah Berurah is a lashon of Kim Megis. Others learn if you look inside the Rabbi, it's because if I take a spoon and I put it inside, the normal thing when you take a spoon is to come and mix without even thinking, and I'll be over under the Raisa. No, so I say right. You only have to be machmir on either a non-cooked cholent, or if the cholent is on the fire, don't spoon out the cholent. And that's why we have to learn now the sugyas of chazara, because we have to figure out how to get the cholent off so that we can take out and then put it back. Because otherwise it would be quite simple. We would just scoop out, right? If the Svardim are going to be make on this halacha, which I do not know, we'll have to see, but if the Svardim theoretically would be make it's la Yehudim, right? La Yehudim, right? Because all they have to do is scoop out the cholent when it's fully cooked, obviously, and then Givaldik, they don't have any of these problems because even if they would be made, I would imagine that for sure there's a market. Let me explain. The Rabbi Alam says, first, not what I'm about to say right now. Rabbi Alam says you can't even scoop out like the Mishnah Berurah, right? But I could definitely hear that, we'll see maybe today in the Yalkid Yosef, or somebody's going to come along and say, no, that far I'm not taking it. In the first place, the Beis Yosef is not chayish for even a gosa. Okay, so spooning out that far, we're not going to take it. The Rabbi Adam says not like that. He says to be machmer even on spooning it out. Sorry. Come again? I'm afraid to answer that because I don't know what happens electric wise when you open up. I have no idea, so I can't answer. He's saying the feed is you just open up the urn on the top and scoop out water with your ladle. Maybe Maybe there might be other issues there with the electric and who knows what. Maybe you're causing a fire to go. I don't know what's going on over there. Could be you're right. The Kallus certainly doesn't know. But that's a sikkum. Is that crystal clear? Right? Rabbi Kranz, you clear now? Right? Okay. Little Fiskett says, everyone's clear? Okay. So now, Ad Kan is what it says in the words in the Mishnah Berurah. Now we have to work. This is where I left the chair off yesterday. Now we have to get to work. What do I mean we have to get to work? Now we have to get to work. The work is like this. The work is now, what's the din in a few cases? Yesterday I gave case number one is what's the din in a liquid? If you have a chicken soup, can I mix it? I guess mornagaya, to mixing a chicken soup. Not many people are mixing chicken soups, right? But can I ladle out? Okay, and that's a very negaya case. It's on your hot plate and you want to scoop out the chicken soup. In yeshivas, this is mamish negaya because they have that massive chicken soups. Mamish negaya. No, you probably know what I'm talking about. They're that massive chicken soup. And over there, it's on the fire. You don't want to move it because the thing is bigger than Guatemala. It's a huge thing, that pot, right? So you want to go and scoop it out while it's on the soup. Are you allowed to do that? You're allowed to do that. So I need to know, is there hagasa on a liquid, number one? And I need to know, is there, once we're going to have hagasa on a liquid, so then we're also going to have not scooping it out, right? Once it's on the fire. That's one case I want to know. Another case that I want to know is if it's on, when we say the fire, what does it mean the fire? What if it's on the side of the blech? It's on the side of the blech and I want to scoop out. There's a gavaldi. This would be great. I could take my child, move it to the side of the blech and scoop out over there. Or no, maybe you got to take her and put her on the counter. I don't know, right? Maybe you got to take her and put her on the counter. Another case that we want to know is what about covering it? If I see that some type of chumrah about mixing it when it's on the fire, so I don't know, maybe putting a lid on is also like a form of mixing it. Why is it a form of mixing it? I don't know, but I don't understand in the first place why mixing it is a problem. So then why is it that when I put a lid on, maybe that should be usher also? And like I said yesterday, it's not good enough to look over here on the side of your Mishnah Berurah. If you buy the fancy Mishnah Berurahs with all the raid and all the zach, it's not good enough. It's not good enough because maybe they're going with a different shita. And we said yesterday that if you go with the shita of the Mishnah Berurah, and we'll see there's what was the logic in the Mishnah Berurah? Mishnah Berurah says, I have no logic. I'm machmer on the kolbai, and now we have to go kipshutai with the kolbai, that the kolbai says there's an isser deraisa to mix a cholent. I'm machmer on the kolbai because I don't know. That's why I'm machmer on the kolbai. I'm a God-fearing Jew, and therefore, I don't know. So therefore, I'm machmer on the kolbai. I don't understand the kolbai, and that's it. Oh, so once you don't understand the kolbai, now I can first of all say, no, whatever the kolbai says, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to not mix food or spoon out food, which is on the age, whether I understand it or not. Okay, now, if you don't understand it, is there a makam to be machalik between a solid and a liquid, between a cholent and a soup? If you don't understand it, so then you don't understand it. So then the kolbai, for all you know, is talking about a cooked soup as much as he was talking about a cooked cholent. And the Ksaisa Shulchan, for example, he says, if he doesn't even bring it as a tzad. He says the kolbai says we're machmer. We don't know the reason why, so we're machmer even on a soup. It's logical like that. Lefi the Mishnah Berurah, lefi this, you will not be allowed to scoop out chicken soup with because now the only thing I was thinking is something like this, which you can tell me this is it's a hit or miss. It'll be clear that you will not be allowed to mix a chicken soup lefi the Mishnah Berurah on a fire. You won't be allowed to mix it. But I was thinking, what's the reason why we said you're not allowed to scoop out a chicken soup? The reason why you're not allowed to scoop out a chicken soup or a chocolate or whatever is going to come to Megas. Because now I could hear that no one actually mixes a chicken soup. Is that true or is that not true? Do people mix chicken soups? What? Well, you're saying you don't do it. You don't. So maybe that much somebody could come along and be makel. That you're not going to be allowed to mix a chicken soup on the fire, but their God's fine will be a makom to be makel, even lefi the Mishnah Berurah, to scoop out. I am a little nervous because Mishnah Berurah is not machalik. It's not machalik, but I could have heard it's a shaila of the Rabbanan anyways, and we'll see soon. It's not so much at the whole chumrah of the Al Rabbah and this Mishnah Berurah. So there would be probably a makom to be makel. If you only have a sefer Mishnah Berurah and nothing else. Number two is we asked the shaila, what about, can I move over the cholent where it's not directly on the fire? But it's like, I'll ask you a kasha. When you have a blech, is the cholent directly on the fire? No, it's blocked by a piece of metal. And afal pikein, there's nobody over here that's saying that such a thing is mutter. right? And everyone's saying, what's the idea, Kanira? That when you have the shba of the fire, not just makam yatzaledis, but because when you're in a pot and it's boiling hot, so it seems to be that you're allowed to mix it, like we said. You're not a balgaifa, but you're allowed to mix. But if you're still getting the shpa of the fire, so whatever the pshat is, I don't know, but it seems to be the shpa of the fire plus a mixing creates some type of mitzvahs. So I don't know, I'd be a little bit scared to move it over onto the side. I'd be a little bit scared, according to the Mishnah Berurah, to move it over to the side. Once I don't know the reason, I'd be a little bit scared. We'll see in a minute. Not so much. I'm just saying, but if the Mishnah Berurah, if I don't have a sefer that's directing me, and I saw there are achreinim that are scared, right? So Shulchan again, he's a little bit scared. He says it's getting the effects of the fire, so some you have to be scared. The third shaila, so that shaila, I have no reason to believe if the kolbai is talking about mixing. Why would that I don't understand. I'm not going to go and apply it to something which is like ain't dogma of a mixing. It's mefurish in the Shulchan Aruch and Siman Reish and Daled and Siv Daled that you're allowed to take a lid and put it on a fully cooked cholent. Over there it's the Shulchan Aruch. So you'll say, well, it's the Shulchan Aruch shita. Maybe it's only the Shulchan Aruch, and we know the Shulchan Aruch is mekel when it comes to the kol. Yeah, but nobody argues there. The Mishnah Berurah doesn't argue there. Nobody argues there, and it seems to be that we would now, if we had the sefer Mishnah Berurah, we would know the answer to all our shaylas. We would say, could you put the lid on if it's fully cooked? The answer would be yes. You could take you can snoop around the chocolate and see what's going on in there, and you can put it on the lid. Do you want to know, can I do it? Can I mix around the liquid? I would say absolutely not, according to Mishnah Berurah. Do you want to know, can I scoop out from a liquid? I could say there's a makom to be makel to scoop out a liquid. Do you want to know, can I move over the cholent onto the side? I'm not sure. Do you want to know, is there a makom to be makel? I'm not sure. Maybe because the whole thing of the kolba is a big machlekes. Do you want to know if I would do it if I had just the Mishnah Berurah? We'll see soon. It's not so much. But if I have just the Mishnah Berurah, I probably wouldn't do it. I probably would be too scared to do it because it's a shayla v'chayv chatas and ad kan is a sheet of the Mishnah Berurah. Now let's go to the side of the Mishnah Berurah. Now you'll see it's a whole different shita. On the side of the Mishnah Berurah, they bring down that they ask these questions to Rabbeinu HaGadol, the king, Rav Moshe Feinstein, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, the king. They asked him, it's a whole different shita. So now we're no longer in the Sefer Mishnah Berurah. Now we're going into this, one of the most wonderful masterpieces in the 20th century, and of all time for that matter, Igros Moshe. Different shita. What's the shita of the Igros Moshe Klapi and Yonim of Agas and starting? But Rabbi say, you're about to hear a whole new thing. Rabbi Siegel, you're about to hear a whole new topic over here. This is not, this is it. Rabbi Silverman, we're no longer in the Sefer Mishnah Berurah. So to make little numbers on the side of your Mishnah Berurah and say, go look over there. Why are you doing that? Why are you making a little, so maybe you're making a little number and you're saying that's what it says in the Sefer Igros Moshe. Okay, but don't make anybody believe that this is what the Mishnah Berurah would hold. That is a felony. That's a felony. Now, what did Rav Moshe come to gain Rabbeinu HaGadol Rav Moshe Feinstein? And they asked Rav Moshe Feinstein, no, are you allowed to stir cholent on Shabbos? You're allowed to stir cholent on Shabbos. So Rav Moshe says, well, I found the sefer, the Tiferes Shmuel. Where's Rav Moshe? I'm sorry, Rav Moshe is in those little chuvas, no? Rav Moshe is in, where is it? It's Ches. No, it's Ches and Tes. We have a few of them over there. And Ayin Daled Ches, Tes. They asked Rav Moshe Feinstein, no, are you allowed to stir a cholent on Shabbos, which is fully cooked? What do you hold about that, Rabbi Feinstein? We know already what the Mishnah Berurah holds about that. What do you hold about that, Rabbi Feinstein? So Rabbi Feinstein says, I found this Tiferes Shmuel. Now, Dan says, you go and look in the Tiferes Shmuel. Tiferes Shmuel is a sefer on the Rosh. You look over there in the Tiferes Shmuel, it's not so simple. It's like Rav Moshe, like all of Rav Moshe, that Rav Moshe was a goyin. And you have to verstehen Rav Moshe. You have to learn good the Tiferes Shmuel to see what Rav Moshe says. So I'm going to call this now the shita of Rav Moshe B'das the Tiferes Shmuel, which he's chayshish for. If this is the pshat in Tiferes Shmuel, Ayin Sham. You could look there and you can see what my remazim are. Now, Kapanim, Rav Moshe says, I found in the Tiferes Shmuel, there's a very big reason to worry about stirring a cholent, which is fully cooked on the fire. You know why? Because you're going to come to make a dreadful toyas. What's a dreadful toyas that you're going to come to make? You're going to go and mix it because you're going to think she's bubbling and she's hot and she's fully cooked. And then you know what you're going to do? You're going to come to stir a not fully cooked cholent. It's a new gzeira. That's it. And now everything is miyushiv. Why am I allowed to take a cholent, which is fully cooked, and put it back on the fire? Teretz is because you'll realize if it's fully cooked or not fully cooked. But Masha'en Kain, when you have a cholent which is bubbling and fully cooked, so you're going to say, look, if she's bubbling, she's obviously fully cooked. That's the mistake you're going to make. This is how Rabbi Moshe explains it to Tiferes Shmuel. He has a kasha on the Tiferes Shmuel. This is how he answers the kasha. He says, if something is bubbling, you're automatically going to assume that she's fully cooked. So besides, that's why there's a gevaldik pachad when something is on the fire that you're going to go and mix it, because it's something that's such a normal thing to do. To make that mistake is such a normal thing to do. You're going to think it's fully cooked. And if I let you stir things which are fully cooked on the fire, you're going to come to stir things which are not fully cooked on the fire. That says Rav Moshe. Okay, such a gevaldik, right? Now everything makes sense. Now says Rav Moshe, he says, what about the kolbai? He says, this isn't the kolbai. This has nothing to do with the kolbai. Shaykh is the kolbai, says Rav Moshe. He says, no, they asked Rav Moshe. Rabbi Yair asked him, no, the kolbai. Do we hold to the kolbai? So Rav Moshe says, you should know I don't really hold to the kolbai. The whole plot thickens. It's all a different story. I don't really hold to the kolbai. Tiferes Shmuel, that's a gzeira. It's not interesting, Rav Moshe. He liked the Tiferes Shmuel gzeira so much. He says, but you should know that Tiferes Shmuel, that's a gzeira. Rav Moshe took the gzeira of the Tiferes Shmuel. A Tiferes Shmuel that wasn't brought by any of the poskim except for Moshe. Now you see what Rav Moshe Feinstein is, okay? But the kolbai, no, I don't really hold to the kolbai. And he says, and I don't even understand the kolbai. What's the kolbai talking about? If something is fully cooked, then how in the world could you be over on Bishul and Chattis and everything? So he says, do you want to know what I think pshat in the kolbai is? I'll tell you. I'm not, Rav Moshe was not a Navi that's going to hold back his kovish edutza, kovish nevuasa. I'll tell you pshat in the kolbai if you want. I don't really hold to the kolbai, okay? But I'll tell you pshat in the kolbai. The pshat in the kolbai says, going to God Rav Moshe, is, Derech Hagav, Rabbi said, and this is why you can't even take a spoon out of the cholent. Yeah, the Ramosha. I can't even take a spoon out, like I'm Xeris. I can't even take a spoon out of the cholent, and we'll see soon. Ramosha is so machman that he said, don't you dare ever take it. Ramosha is mamish machman, not taking out food from the cholent pot when it's on the fire, because when you're going to take out, you're going to come to stir. And what happens when you come to stir? It's fully cooked. But I'll come to make a mistake. And I'll come to think, oh, it's fully cooked, and it's not really fully cooked. So you hear this, Maisa, I can't even take out with a spoon. Now, again, Xera of a Tiferes Shmuel that no one in the world ever brought except for the guy called the Rav Moshe Feinstein, Zecher, Sadik, the Vracha. So now he says, what about the kolbai? I don't really hold the kolbai. But you want to know pshat in the kolbai? So I'll tell you pshat in the kolbai. Pshat in the kolbai is that maybe there's a bean. That means once you learn Rav Moshe and you look in your childhood, you see how emes Rav Moshe is in the Metzias. There's going to be yena bean or yena shtickle barley. That nestled over there and just never quite got. You ever look in your child? You know what I'm talking about? You have like those beans over there, those anti-Semites that they won't get cooked, And because of her, you can't take out the cholent on Friday night. You all know what I'm talking about. You all know what I'm talking about. There's on the top a few of those little barley loch, right, that they were never cooked. So Moshe says, so now avada. That's why you can't. That's what the kolbai means. He means not that it's fully cooked, but it's fully cooked. But there's a bean yena who's like trapped away, and he has a little like a winkel therein, and he's mutman and you're gonna go and mix it. And what happens when you mix her? So now you're gonna put her over there, and now she's gonna get fully cooked. So besides, does the pshat in the kolbai? That's the pshat in the kolbai. But I don't really hold to the kolbai. Now, right away, Rabbi Sher says, I have three kashas on the kolbai, on Rav Moshe's pshat in the kolbai. First of all, no, was? So first of all. That wouldn't be the first question. That's my third question. What? So first question is, says Rabbi Sher, he says, why is it that I'm allowed to mix her off of the fire? I can mix her off. Oh, thank you. Rabbi Lieberman asked the second question. And Rabbi Tersh, right? Well, that he says, the kolbai is a chum. Rabbi Tersh is asking me, why does Rabbi Moshe not hold to the kolbai? Moshe doesn't hold to the kolbai because the Ran is against, the Maggid Mishnah is against, the Shulchan Aruch doesn't bring it. It's a chiddush in Pella that nobody understands, that even the Mishnah Berurah says, I don't understand. So he doesn't have to hold of it. It's not fair. But Rabbi Sher is asking, question number one is, why is it that I could mix the cholent off the fire and then put her back onto the fire? If you hold that the problem is that maybe there's a bean darting that was never cooked, and because it was nestled away in a little corner over there, so in a little crevice. So now when I mix her and I bring her back onto the pot, onto the fire, so then besides the exact same thing. So what in the world is the difference on the fire or off the fire? It's a takapella. I don't know. Another catch is the kolbai is not like this, says Rabbi Lieberman. The kolbai says you're chayiv chatas when you stir. The kolbai, that's why the Mishnah Berurah didn't understand the kolbai. Because the kolbai says, Pashut in the first. He says, if you stir when it's on the fire, you are chayiv chatas. According to Rav Moshe, no, you're not. It's maybe you're doing an isser. That's number two. Number three is I'll ask more of a lamdish kasha. that Rabbi say, if I'm stirring and I don't even know about yen and nestled bean, I'm looking at a cholent and I'm stirring it, and I don't think there's a bean in there because I'm looking at a fully cooked cholent. I don't know. I'm not talking about my case where you have the little beans on top and the barley on top that you see it. If a shteitzach, that's a problem, right? I'm talking about where you punch it, you don't know. Or Moshe is saying maybe underneath over there, there's a little bean and she's not getting cooked and whatever. God, I don't hear it so well. I can hear it when it's on top. I don't see how when it's inside. But Moshe have a moon and that's it. I don't know. Akapanim. But Rabbi say, the kasha is that when I'm stirring a fully cooked cholent, why? Because I just want to stir it and I don't want it to get burnt on the side. And I don't even know about yana bean that's inside. So maybe that's an miskavin. Maybe that's an miskavin. Elamai tell me it's a safek psikresha. So safek psikresha is a big shail in the paiskim and many are makel. So telling me that I'm not going to be allowed to where it's as that safek, it's like a smad nepella, right? It's a safek psikresha. So he said the cold boy's paskin the shail about safek psikresha. It's an miskavin. So that I was thinking maybe you could say that you can't say that's a secret, that's a Adam Iskavin. Because if I say, let's say I have no room on my countertop. I have no room on my countertop. So I say, you know what? I have no room on my countertop. I'm going to take the pot and put it over there because there's room over there and that's a fire. You know, I have meat in a pot and I have no room, uncooked meat. Okay. And there's no room on my countertop. So I take it and I put it over there on the fire. What? No, I know there's a fire. I have a brain. I know there's a fire. Right? What? No, I'm saying I know there's a fire, then I put it on. I don't know if that's going to be called Einam Eskavin and things like that. It could be that's a nice Bishul. It could be, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out my. That's the shot. Oh my goodness, what happened over here? Okay, wait. Nobody move. 1 second. 4 minutes. Danny, I have 4 minutes over here or no? If Danny's not answering, it means we have 4 minutes. Okay. So come to gain Goyna Gadol Reb Moshe, and he has his mal again. So let's make a sikon. Reb Moshe says, Kolbay, I don't really hold so much of the Kolbay. I don't really hold so much. I ain't sham, that's what he says. Then he says, but I'm scared of the Tefer Shmuel. Now Rabbi say, watch this. Come to gain Hashem and Eider, and he asked him all these questions. Let's go number 1. He asked him, what about a liquid? Am I allowed to stir liquid? Says Reb Moshe, according to me, this is great. You're allowed to stir liquid. Why? Says, because the kolbai, Lafi the kolbai, it could be it's for sure mutter. Because what's my pshat in the kolbai? Yana bean that never got cooked. He said in a liquid, what's it again? It's all liquidy. It's not again, right? Yana bean that didn't get cooked in a chicken soup, right? Not again. It's only in a cholent that's he says, okay, but anyways, I don't really hold to the kolbai, so forget that. What about my Tefer Shmuel? According to my Tefer Shmuel, what's the whole shash? That when you have a cholent on the fire, something like that, so it's going to be bubbling. When something is bubbling, you think she is fully cooked. And you're going to make the mistake and not realize, but there are parts in here which aren't fully cooked. He said, that's not negaya by a liquid. By a liquid, how's that negaya? But regular liquid, it's only a liquid. Now, I guess he's not talking about where there's chicken in there. It's interesting, Ramosha, because once there's chicken, it could be it's not fully cooked. But he says, once it's bubbling, this is how he explains it. Once it's bubbling, so then you're not going to come to make this mistake because the whole thing bubbles equally. Now, I don't know exactly what to do with this, Rav Moshe. Rav Moshe goes on to say, therefore, you're allowed to stir a chicken soup, says Rav Moshe. And he says, and therefore, you're allowed to stir you're allowed to spoon out of a chicken soup. And it's not a problem. Now, I don't fully understand it because like the Rabbi shares face, the chayra, if there's a piece of chicken in there, maybe she's not cooked, right? So I would make the same mistake, the chayra. I don't know, but that's what Rav Moshe writes. So I guess Rav Moshe is not talking about a chicken soup, so we didn't really gain much. Because most of our chicken soups have in them anyways, carrots and vegetables and chicken and all these things, etc. So even Rav Moshe will agree. And Rav Moshe just says, am I allowed to stir a liquid? Rav Moshe says, yes. So what's he talking about? Talking about water, no? Take a look there. What do you got there? I'm right? You can't find her? Bring it over, let's see. Is it not in the $9 ones? Hagasa. Where's the one where he brings the Avnei Nezer? No, it's because he brings the Avnei Nezer. Because Shimon Eider asked him the Avnei Nezer. You'd what? You'd Dalit. Here. Kedera uba mayim. So it's not fair. It's not fair, Rabbi Yisai, how they bring Rav Moshe Feinstein. it's not fair. And Moshe Feinstein, they bring down the gabe all liquids, chicken soups and things like that. I saw one Mar McCoymus list. He brings for Moshe's Makel on the liquids and whatever, and everybody else is Makel. Why? Because of Moshe. And he's talking over there about chicken soup. Moshe never talked about chicken soup. And Moshe says, Mayim. So Moshe says, ooh, Kedera above Mayim Amedet Gabe Eish, Mutaloitzi Mimena Kaf, Kedisa and Davnei Nezer. The Schneider asked him this. I'll tell you what Davnei Nezer says in a minute. The Kain of Noitzi Bakaf, Shuva. He says, I'll tell you the svar of the Davnei Nezer. His svar is right. He says, look, according to what I said in the kolbai, the carton, that's for sure okay. Elamai according to Farish Shmuel, Sheish Makam Litos, Leika b'mayim inkvar nirtechu. Because it's only by Yatzaletis ikalameta. But Mashain Kain here, because when the whole thing is bubbling, what's it negeya? Avamatzi shebekaf mitzdanim bizmakot. Okay, then he goes on to that. Fine. Rabbi say, does Rabbi Moshe say anything about a chicken soup? Doesn't say anything about a chicken soup. So if you want to know, not only is all these kittens farm that are bringing down the Rabbi Moshe's makel that you're allowed to go and mix a chicken soup, not only is it a sheker muchlet, that the Mishabura certainly has nothing to do with that, but even Rabbi Moshe has nothing to do with that now. This is a tragic mistake. I don't know why the Welt all says over. So Kallus, if you ask Kallus, you want to know, can I scoop out a spoon? I'm the big makel. Because I don't think Rabbi Moshe would be makel on this. I told you today as far that maybe I could hear that you could scoop out soup. Why? Because you don't mix soup. It's not the derech. Nussi told us it's not the derech to mix soup. So I'm going to say Nussi. But so that's number one. No, Nussi's not taking responsibility. I just want to make a disclaimer. Nussi's not taking responsibility for anybody else's soup. You hear that? Who's over here? Elbaz. He's not taking any responsibility for anybody else's soup. Just keep that in mind. He wanted that to be clear. He's afraid of lawsuits and whatever, and I don't want to have issues. Okay? So put your mask on. Okay? Now, boys, I don't know what happened over there. An hour has gone by, and we haven't learned one word today. And this has never happened in the history of this year. I think in the history of this year, this has never happened. I do have those two last shilas of Agas. I want to show you the sheet of Moshe. And Mamish, in the first minute of tomorrow's shir, the first minute, what? No, Mamish, the first minute, because we have to go weiter. We have 30 working days left. 30 working days left of this man. And we got to do Shia, Chazar, and Atzmana, which is doable. It's doable, but there's no game. So I'm asking the Olam to start learning Shehiyah, and there's no games. And I was going to say, Baruch Hashem, that we finished Bishul. It's official that we finished Bishul now. Just the first 2 minutes of tomorrow's shir, and that's it. First 2 minutes of tomorrow's shir. Okay. I think we have to make a kiddush. I think so. What are we going to do? I'm not going to eat any of your food because you touched it. But you don't take responsibility. Yeah?
See you later.
All too, Rabbi.
Rabbi.
See you later, Rabbi.
Mincha, we're having mincha over here, guys.